Our ancient ancestors created some remarkable, extraordinary things. You'll already know that if you're a subscriber to our channel because we confirm the truth of that statement consistently. If you're not a subscriber, today would be a great day to join us. We're taking yet another deep dive into the distant past, and we've got some stunning ancient things of all time to show you. We suck staring right now with number 15, Tor's pony cap and horns. The Tor's horns and Tor's pony cap was called Tor's chamfrine back in the days, but whether these Iron Age relics were ever intended to be joined remains debated by experts. The bronze items are now housed in the National Museum of Scotland and were uncovered at the same time and in the same location. It's clear that the horns were added to the pony cap after its creation, but whether they were purpose-built for that union is unknown. Some historians propose the horns are ceremonial drinking vessels and were never linked to the cap at all. The ornate patterns on both are classic examples of the Latin style, Celtic artwork that helps archaeologists place them at roughly 2,200 years old, though the horns might be a century or two more recent. Their refined craftsmanship highlights the expertise of elite Iron Age artisans and contradicts Roman-era claims that ancient Scottish societies were primitive or uncultured. Number 14. Waybin's Sitz Temple Bell. Waybin's Temple Bell is a bronze cylindrical bell with a domed top and flared sides, as you can see. This thing has been part of the George Crofts collection at the Royal Ontario Museum since 1920. It is currently displayed on the first floor near the Chinese Gallery's entrance. The engraved text reveals the bell was cast in 1518 during the 13th year of the Zhengde Emperor of the Ming Dynasty and was commissioned by Wei Bin, a member of the Eight Tigers faction who rose to ceremonial director following the 1510 death of the chief eunuch, Lu Jin. The bell originally resided at Hongshan-si, or the Temple of Great Bounty, situated outside Zhuan Gate, near the Forbidden City. George Crofts acquired it after finding it at the former Austro-Hungarian legation, where it had reportedly been brought by Italian troops after the 1900 Boxer Rebellion. The bell's surface features 2 dragon heads, 8 trigrams, and raised lines separating panels of inscriptions from the Sutra of the names of the 35 Buddhas and the Vinaya Sutra. Number 13. Cramond Lioness. Let's stay in Scotland a bit longer and examine the Cramond Lioness. This Roman-era sculpture was uncovered near the mouth of Edinburgh's River Almond back in 1997 by a passerby. At the time, archaeologists hailed it as the most significant Roman-era find in Scotland in decades. The sculpture depicts a male captive bound at the hands and feet, being mauled by a lioness whose teeth are sunk deeply into his skull. The piece is carved from a single stone block, measuring 5 feet long and just over 2 feet tall. We may never know the sculpture's exact purpose, but some scholars believe it once marked the tomb of a Roman military leader who served at the nearby Cramond Roman fort. If so, that tomb has never been discovered. Researchers still can't explain how the sculpture ended up in the river where it was found. Like the tourists now viewing it, the statue is currently displayed in the National Museum of Scotland. Number 12. Rogan plates. The Atocha plates, including the prominent Rogan plates, form a collection of Mississippian copper artifacts recovered from Mound C at the Atocha Indian Mounds. These ceremonial plates are adorned with symbolic imagery associated with the southeastern ceremonial complex, particularly the birdman motif reserved for warriors and elite figures. The set includes both imported relics and local creations that replicate foreign styles. The iconography on the Rogan plates reflects the classic Braden style from the American Bottom region. Some artifacts were likely produced in Cahokia, present-day Illinois near St. Louis, before being transported southeastward. The Rogan plates discovered back in 1885 inside a stone box grave are the most recognized examples. They bear nearly identical imagery and were likely ornamental. Both display the birdman or falcon dancer figure thought to symbolize the upper world. Each is shown mid-dance, holding ceremonial stone maces in one hand and severed human heads in the other, imagery believed to convey divine or elite authority in Mississippian spiritual culture. Number 11. Moctezuma Theka, headdress. This elaborate feathered headdress, believed to have belonged to Moctezuma II, who was the Aztec godlike emperor during the Spanish conquest, is composed of quetzal feathers and gold embellishments and is now housed in the Weltmuseum Wien in Vienna, Austria. However, there is debate that persists about its true origin, with some experts doubting it is a headdress at all. Although often linked to Moctezuma, there is no evidence that connects it to him. While it looks like a headdress, its design is consistent with other items seen in Aztec-era depictions, such as back-mounted military standards or ceremonial emblems. Still, the piece is traditionally associated with Quetzalcoatl, who was a major deity. European interest in the artifact surged during the late 19th century, and it was added to Archduke Ferdinand's collection in Ambras, near Innsbruck. Despite repeated requests for repatriation by Mexico, a bilateral panel ruled it too fragile for transport, so it remains in Vienna. Regardless of its disputed function, it remains a masterwork of Aztec craftsmanship and a point of international cultural contention. Number 10. Labbacallee Wedge Tomb. Ireland's landscape is dotted with megalithic structures, many of which date back thousands of years. Among them, the Labbacallee Wedge Tomb in Glanworth holds particular importance. It's the largest of its kind in the country and is estimated to be over 4,300 years old. The name Labbacallee means hag's bed, a reference to the tomb's distinctive wedge-shaped layout. An archaeological survey in 1934 revealed that the site wasn't used for a single burial, but reused repeatedly, with interments dating as far back as the Neolithic. Tools and bones recovered from the site confirmed its long-term ritual use. Local folklore connects the tomb to the Celtic winter goddess Cailleach Beara, also known as the Queen of Winter. That legend drew attention again during a 1943 visit when a headless skeleton was discovered. However, radiocarbon dating showed that the remains were buried nearly 1,300 years after the tomb's construction. Despite the time gap, the site remains a powerful symbol of myth and mortality in Irish prehistory. Number 9. Bronocice pot. The Bronocice pot is a Neolithic ceramic vessel that holds one of the earliest known depictions of a wheeled vehicle in human history. It was discovered in Bronocice, a village near the Niedzika River in Poland, and is associated with the funnel beaker culture. Radiocarbon analysis dates the pot to the mid-4th millennium BCE. It is currently displayed at the Archaeological Museum in Krakow. Unearthed during excavations between 1974 and 1976, the pot features symbolic imagery, the most significant of which includes 5 stylized renderings of what appear to be 4-wheeled wagons connected by a shaft, likely pulled by draft animals. The lines between the wheels likely represent axles. A circular form at the center may signify a container used for storing grain or harvested crops. Other illustrations on the pot include a tree, a river, and what seems to be fields or ditches, possibly a village plan. Some researchers believe these marks suggest a pre-writing communication system akin to the Vinca culture's symbolic logos. Number 8. The Kritonios crown. Very little is definitively known about the Kritonios crown, and much of what we assume is speculative. What is confirmed is that the crown was discovered in 1814 in Armento, Italy, inside a tomb belonging to a man named Kritonios, hence the artifact's name. While the identity of Kritonios remains unknown, the crown's sophistication suggests he was wealthy and possibly of noble or royal status. Experts estimate the crown was created around 2,400 years ago. Its base is formed from an oak twig, around which are intertwined designs representing myrtle, roses, ivy, and narcissus. At the top is a small figure, possibly an angel or winged goddess. Beneath the figure, an ancient Greek inscription reads, "Kritonios dedicated this crown." Unfortunately, the wording offers no further details about the man himself. Despite the mystery surrounding its origin, the crown is considered an exquisite example of ancient funerary jewelry and is now preserved in a museum in Munich, where it continues to draw scholarly attention. Number 7. Galloway hoard. We've talked about this treasure a lot of times before, so shall we explain it to you again? Well, why not? So the story dates back to the 9th and 10th centuries when Vikings raided and conquered across much of Europe. Local lore claims the Scots mounted strong resistance when they landed in Scotland, especially during a massive and brutal clash in Galloway. There was no solid proof of this battle until 2014, when amateur archaeologist Derek McLennan discovered the Galloway hoard, an extraordinary trove of Viking-era treasures. It's the largest collection of Viking wealth ever unearthed in the British Isles, featuring just under 100 relics dating back more than 1,000 years. It's hard to choose a standout, but many argue the most striking is the ornate Anglo-Saxon cross. Because of its detail, historians believe it must have belonged to a monarch or high-ranking religious figure. Made with black niello, gold leaf, and gospel iconography, the cross alone is valued at over £2 million, and the entire hoard is worth even more. Number 6. Birchbark scrolls. Wigwazaban birchbark scrolls were used by the Ojibwe people of North America to inscribe intricate geometric patterns and symbolic notations, serving as a form of proto-writing. These scrolls passed down ancestral knowledge, spiritual teachings, and oral traditions across generations and were essential during Midiwiwin ceremonies. The scrolls were etched onto the inner bark of paper birch trees, stitched with cedar root fiber called watop, and stored in birch containers to prevent unrolling. Many were recopied and hidden in dry places, often buried underground or concealed in caves. Their main role was to preserve ceremonial songs, healing formulas, guidance teachings, and records of Ojibwe migration from the east coast to the west. Birchbark scrolls could feature pictographic depictions using engravings or colored pigments like red and blue, and they varied in length from a few inches to several feet. These ancient cultural artifacts continue to provide insight into the deep intellectual traditions and migration narratives of native groups across North and even into parts of South America. Alright, now, let's move to number 5. Nuestra Señora de Atocha. The Spanish galleon Nuestra Señora de Atocha was intended to be a dependable trading ship in the 17th century, but it proved otherwise. After 2 sets of repairs delayed her 1620 launch from Cuba, she completed her maiden voyage to Spain, then began a return trip to Colombia. She reached Colombia safely, but the return journey ended in disaster. In 1622, the ship was caught in a hurricane near the Florida coast and sank, taking her entire cargo down with her. It wasn't until 1985 that treasure hunter Mel Fisher finally located the wreck, and most of the treasures were still intact. Since then, some items have been sold at auction, including the Atocha emerald, valued at around $250,000. Among the more notable finds was a gold and emerald ring with a rectangular cut stone discovered in 2011 and a rare gold coin worth $100,000. Though Atocha's journey was brief, the legacy of what she carried has lived on, offering priceless glimpses into Spain's colonial wealth and seafaring risks. Number 4. Ancient gold mouth plaque in York. Back in the good old days of 1872, a small gold plate was unearthed beside the 800-year-old remains of a woman buried beneath York Station, England. It took nearly 150 years for researchers to understand what it was. Today, they believe it's a 3rd century funerary mouth plaque placed inside the woman's mouth at the time of death. At that time, some believed such a token could block evil spirits from invading the body or obstructing the soul's passage into the afterlife. Only 23 examples of these plaques have ever been recorded worldwide. This is the sole one discovered in the British Isles. The poor would have never received such burial treatment, meaning the woman must have held considerable social standing. Sadly, she wasn't interred with any identifying objects. What's especially curious is that these burial traditions align more with Eastern mysticism than with known Roman customs. So finding one this far west raises questions about her origin and what beliefs might have followed her into death. Number 3. Tombs of Papa Westray. The Orkney Islands lie to the north of mainland Scotland and form part of the British Isles. One of these islands is Papa Westray, and just off its coast sits an even smaller islet named the Home of Papa. This is where Neolithic people buried their dead 5,000 years ago, in a settlement known as the No of Yarso. 3 distinct burial cairns have been located here, all constructed in the Meisho tradition. Though the tombs were opened during the 1800s, they faded from attention until 2009, when archaeologists from historic Scotland unearthed a miniature carved figurine. The figure's facial features are unusually stylized, including deeply carved eyebrows and dotted eyes. These match carvings were found at the entrance of the island's largest tomb. While human depictions from this era are rare in Britain, they seem to have held greater significance on these isolated islands. Today, no people live on the home of Papa, but the seals that do are known to be friendly toward human visitors. All right, let's move to number 2. Bian Que's medical tablets in China. Roughly 2,500 years ago in China, if you were seriously ill, there was only one man you hoped to see, and his good name was Bian Que. He was already a legend in his lifetime, known for his medical knowledge. Ancient Chinese texts, like the Shiji, even describe him as a doctor of miracles. Folklore claims his abilities came from an elderly magician who rewarded him after Bian Que treated him kindly during his earlier job as a hostel keeper. For a long time, many dismissed his story as myth, until 2013, when nearly 1,000 bamboo slips were found on Laguan Mountain in Chengdu. Once studied, they turned out to be medical writings from a school run by Bian Que. They covered treatments for various conditions in dermatology, ophthalmology, gynecology, and trauma. Even acupuncture points were included, suggesting Bian Que may have developed acupuncture itself. He probably didn't perform miracles, but this discovery proves he was far ahead of his time in the field of ancient medicine. Number 1. The Chesterton coin hoard. Sometimes archaeology leads you underground. In October 2000, a group of archaeologists descended into a sewer shaft in Cambridge, England, beneath Chesterton Lane. What they found there became known as the Chesterton Lane coin hoard. It contained 185 silver pennies and 9 gold coins, all minted between the 13th and 14th centuries. The coins were discovered inside the partially decayed remains of a wooden chest buried beneath what was once the floor of a home. Back in the medieval period, this amount would have represented a sizable fortune, likely someone's life savings. Evidence suggests the box was hidden in haste, probably during the aftermath of the Black Death. After placing the coins in the container, someone dug a hole, covered it with stone, and topped it with a clay floor. For reasons we'll never know, they never returned to retrieve it. The hoard remained undisturbed for centuries, sealed in mud and sewage, until a sewer dig unexpectedly brought a forgotten fortune back to light. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, share it, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.